Let's go through a couple of the most common misconceptions before we get to situations when keyword-rich domains actually have a value and could be valuable for your law firm, and situations when I would recommend using them. So, first misconception around this is that it's going to give you this instant SEO boost, right? And that somehow you can take these domains you've been stacking in your GoDaddy account for a year or two and redirect them or do something behind the scenes, and it's instantly going to blow up the success of your website. And this is just not really true, right? All of these factors that Google uses for their algorithm, they're all weighted, and so we don't know the exact recipe of what they do to come up with their algorithm, but we do know from tons and tons of testing that it's not just one thing. It's a confluence of a number of things. And so when you're thinking about SEO success, you really need to be checking all the boxes. You need to have good content, building authority through link building. You need to have a good technical side of your websites, loading quickly, loading on all devices. So those are the most common pieces of the SEO puzzle that you really need to make sure you're at least doing the basics of those if you want to compete. Because coming in and just dropping a keyword-rich domain is really not going to do much, especially if you haven't done anything with the other components of SEO success, the off-page, on-page, and technical aspects. The other big misconception here is that it's a low-cost, high-value investment. And so sometimes, and this breaks my heart when I hear this, is someone has purchased a domain they've gotten an email, and it's like, hey, we're the owners of, dogaccidentlaw.com, and we want to sell it to you for just $1,000 or something like that. And they'll say, oh yeah, you get SEO benefits, stuff like that. This is really the worst case scenario, is if you're spending a sizable amount of money with the understanding or belief that it's somehow going to add to your ability to rank. Now, I know attorneys who have like 50 of these domains or have purchased these in the past, just because they've heard somewhere that this practice is valuable, and just from a basic level of understanding, like a prima facie, level of thought process here, that like, well, it can't be a bad thing, right? And so it's got to have some value to it. And so if you want to buy expensive domains, go for it. It's not going to work, right? It's a really more of a pure vanity play. And if you do think that, for instance, your domain is too long, it's got too many names in it, stuff like that, and it's just way more recognizable and easy to remember for your clientele to put in, familylawAtlanta.com, go for it. Absolutely. There is a value with that, right? And so there's not necessarily an SEO value, but from a branding perspective and a simplistic point of view, you're absolutely going to get a value there, because you can put it on your cards. You can, give it to everybody and let people know. And it's much easier than giving them a long domain name that may be difficult for them to remember or come up with, or your last name, things like that. So just don't go into this thinking that you are somehow going to, catapult yourself to the top of the rankings just because you purchased this domain. Now, the one caveat to this is if you are buying an actual website asset. So if you are buying a website that has been online for a while, I would say years, it has content, there's been some link building, different stuff like that. So it's actually done some of that formative SEO work that actually makes a difference when it comes to your ranking. So if it's already done some of this off page, some of the content, all of that stuff, that's very different than just buying a domain itself. Okay. And so the big distinction that I want to draw for you today is that if you are just buying a URL with no history of SEO development on it, that's a very low value activity. That is, you are not going to get any sort of SEO boost or anything like that, at least immediately. So I'm going to go into the other, like when you can actually use this in just a second. So if it does have some value to it, that there's been content, link building, etc., that actually can be beneficial to you, because what you're effectively doing is a merger of another business, right? A merger and acquisition. And so if that website has that juice, that SEO value, you can redirect it to your website, and you're going to get that juice, right? You have to. There's some rules with it, and you want to do it, carefully and with a strategy in mind. But you are then actually buying an asset, right? That you can combine with yours, where you're going to get some of that value. But the rule I want to always you remember next time you're thinking about buying a domain is whether or not it has that asset component. Has it been developed before? Because if it hasn't, it's really not worth your time, unless you're thinking of it as a very long-term investment, that you want to be known as Family Lawyer Phoenix or whatever, and you think it's a good branding play for the long run. But it's not going to give you any sort of short kind of boost with your SEO work. The final misconception is that this is some sort of substitute for quality content and SEO strategy. So basically talked about all this before, is that this is not a replacement for a comprehensive SEO strategy. This is a hack that doesn't really work. It isn't going to give you any sort of tangible benefit by simply redirecting a website that has no links, no content, etc. And so really what you have to be thinking about when it comes to your SEO strategy is a long-term vision. You need to be thinking about building an asset that is going to grow and be improved over time. It's the one asset, maybe YouTube videos as well, but not as valuable in my opinion. It's the one asset that has a compounding value over time. It's the only type of marketing that performs like the stock market, where you're going to have these ebbs and flows during the near term. But if you look at it over the long term, and you do these basic elements of writing good content, getting links to your website, improving the visibility, increasing the visibility across the internet, you are going to get compounding value. You are going to have your visibility grow and grow and grow over time, assuming you have just even a basic SEO strategy. You don't even really need a marketing agency for it. You just have to be committed to actually writing and doing some of this work yourself. The work's not going to do itself, but you don't need a highly paid marketing agency to see this benefit. You really can do it by yourself. Now, of course, we can do it a lot better, and if you work with a good SEO agency, they're going to do it way better. But ultimately, you can still have a say or make a positive impact on your SEO performance. Just you.